My friend, if you find yourself surrounded by the noise of the world, by confusion, anger, distraction, and despair, know this: it is not the world that determines your peace, but the state of your own mind. The chaos around you may seem vast and uncontrollable, but within you is a power far greater than anything outside. It is the power of your mind, trained, disciplined, and aware, that holds the key to your peace, your progress, and ultimately your purpose. The first and most important truth is this: the mind, like any muscle, must be trained. It must be taught what to allow in and what to cast out. You cannot walk through life expecting peace if your mind is open to every gust of panic, every whisper of doubt, every scream of criticism. If the door to your mind is always open, the winds of the world will blow through and scatter your dreams like dust. You must close that door. You must decide once and for all that your peace is sacred and that nothing, no voice, no event, no person has the right to take it without your permission. We were not born with control over our emotions. We earn it through conscious effort. A baby cries at the slightest discomfort because it has not yet learned the language of patience. But you have a mind. You have a will. And with your will, you can say to your mind, I will not be shaken. I will not be moved by every passing feeling. I will stand in the eye of the storm and remain still, for I am not the storm, I am the sky above it. It begins with attention. What you give your attention to, you give your power to. If you give your attention to chaos, you will feed it. If you give your attention to peace, it will grow. Your attention is your fuel. It is the sunlight to your inner garden. Be wise with it. Not every fire needs your water. Not every shout needs your answer. Not every insult deserves your presence. Sometimes the greatest strength is in silence, and the highest form of control is in not reacting at all. You see, most people are not really living. They are reacting. They wake up and check their phones, not their thoughts. They absorb the world before they've remembered who they are. They consume before they create, and in doing so, they give their minds away. They forget that they are the masters of their own thoughts and not the slaves of other people's noise. You must remember. You must awaken. You must take back your mind. Do not be fooled. This world is full of bait. Bait to make you angry, bait to make you afraid, bait to pull you into arguments that drain your energy and leave you hollow. Chaos is a trap, and it is set daily. But you were not born to be baited. You were born to be bold. The trained mind sees the bait and walks away. The trained mind does not need to win every argument, nor does it chase every insult. The trained mind knows that peace is a greater prize than pride. There is no strength in reacting quickly. There is strength in choosing wisely. There is no honor in being the loudest. There is honor in being the calmest. To train your mind is to become the master of space, the space between what happens and how you respond. That space is your freedom. That space is your power. Most people collapse that space into impulse, but you will stretch it into wisdom. That is how peace is built, not by controlling the world, but by controlling your response to it. I tell you, nothing will change your life more than the discipline of your own mind. You can chase success, you can chase wealth, you can chase approval, but if your mind is undisciplined, all those things will eventually turn to dust. Because a chaotic mind will sabotage every blessing it receives. But a focused mind, a mind anchored in truth, trained to ignore the irrelevant, will turn even a little into abundance. It is not what you have, it is what you think. It is not what happens, it is how you interpret it. Control that, and you control everything. So I ask you now, when was the last time you paused before reacting? When was the last time you chose peace over pride? When was the last time you silenced the noise, not because you were weak, but because you were strong? That strength is in you. That calm is within reach. You do not need to fix the world. You need to fix your focus. You do not need to argue with the storm. You need to stand still in it and let your silence speak. And if today is the first day you truly decide to train your mind, then let that decision be the one that changes your life forever. Let it be the seed you plant today, the discipline you nurture tomorrow, and the legacy you leave behind. Because a mind trained to ignore chaos is a mind trained to change the world, not with noise, but with clarity, not with force, but with faith. Every man and woman faces storms. Life does not spare the strong from the wind, nor the wise from the rain. But what separates the defeated from the victorious is not whether the storm comes, but how they stand when it does. You may not control the thunder, but you can train your mind not to tremble at the sound of it. You may not silence the world, but you can quiet the shaking within. And once you master the storm inside, the storms outside lose their power. Too many people waste their lives waiting for things to calm down before they begin to live. They say, I'll start when things are more peaceful. I'll act when the noise stops. But the truth is, the world will never go quiet just to suit your goals. If you are waiting for silence, you will be waiting forever. You must learn to move forward in noise, to rise above distraction, to build in the middle of chaos. You must learn to be unmoved by the moving world. You are not meant to react to everything. If a dog barks, you don't bark back. If the wind blows, you don't chase the leaves. So why, then, do you chase every criticism? Why do you respond to every insult, every minor offense, every piece of news that's meant to unsettle you? The untrained mind feels it must respond to everything. The trained mind knows that not everything deserves attention. The power is in restraint, not in reaction. It is the silent builder, not the loud protester, who changes the structure of his world. And I say this to you with great conviction. Your peace is a fortress. Guard it. Guard it like gold. Not with violence, but with wisdom. Not by closing your heart, but by choosing what you allow into it. There is a discipline in protecting your energy. There is a maturity in saying, this does not belong in my spirit. Whether it is gossip, drama, chaos, or fear, when it knocks at your door, you have the right to say, not today. I am training for something greater. Every minute you spend in worry is a minute you lose from building. Every argument you enter is a step away from your vision. Every time you let someone else's chaos become your concern, you forfeit a piece of your focus. And what is focus if not the compass of your life? Without it, you drift. With it, you direct, you move, you conquer. And so, my friend, you must protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. There is an old saying that the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. If you do not master it, it will master you. It will pull you into the whirlpool of every problem, every fear, every opinion. But once you begin to take the reins, once you start saying, this thought does not serve me, and let it go, you step into power. That is what mastery looks like. It is not loud, it is not dramatic. It is the quiet moment when you choose peace over panic, direction over distraction, progress over pity. Training your mind is not a single decision, it is a daily devotion. It is the practice of returning to your center when the world tries to pull you away from it. It is the habit of reflection before reaction. It is the commitment to see things as they are, not worse than they are, not more dramatic than they are, but with clarity. Because clarity, my friend, is the key to freedom. And freedom, real freedom, is not the absence of noise, but the presence of inner stillness. Ask yourself, What am I feeding my mind each day? Is it growth or is it garbage? Is it vision or is it vanity? Is it faith or is it fear? Because your mind cannot produce what you have not planted. If you want peace, plant peace. If you want focus, feed it with silence, with goals, with habits that align with your highest self. You cannot pour clarity into a cup that's already full of chaos. Empty it, refill it, reclaim it. There will be days when the world demands your reaction. Let it, and choose not to give it. There will be moments when everything inside you screams to respond. Breathe instead. There is more power in that breath than in 1,000 angry words. There is more dignity in stillness than in shouting. And the world may never reward your silence, but your soul will. And in the end, that is the only applause that matters. You do not train your mind to escape the world. You train it to stand inside it without being consumed. You train it to walk through fire without being burned by fear. You train it to hear noise and still know peace. And once your mind is trained, once it bows to your will and not the other way around, then you will know a strength that cannot be stolen, no matter what happens around you. Let us now speak of emotion, not as a weakness, but as a wild force that, if left unchecked, will sabotage the builder's hand. You were not given emotion to be ruled by it. You were given emotion so you could feel your life deeply, not be enslaved by it. Emotion, like fire, can warm your house or burn it to the ground. It all depends on whether you've learned to contain it, to guide it, to shape it toward your purpose. A man who cannot master his emotions is like a builder with trembling hands. No matter how fine the tools, no matter how perfect the blueprint, his structure will collapse under the weight of his instability. The world does not owe you calm, so you must learn to generate it. Your emotions, when trained, become allies, but when left to run unchecked, they turn into enemies, wearing familiar faces. You must know them. You must call them by name. And most of all, you must know when to dismiss them from the room. Do not shame yourself for feeling anger, fear, sadness, or frustration. These are human responses. But do not worship them either. Do not build your life around the temple of your temporary moods. Feel them, yes, but do not follow them blindly. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are not your worst moment. You are the one who watches these feelings rise and fall like waves. And the more you train your mind, the more you will realize you are the ocean, not the world. The great lie we've been sold is that we must express every emotion, every thought, every discomfort. But wisdom tells a different story. Wisdom teaches restraint. It teaches transformation. It tells us that emotions, when processed with clarity, become fuel. Anger becomes energy. Sadness becomes depth. Fear becomes focus, but only if the mind is in command, only if the captain is at the wheel. Otherwise, the ship crashes on the rocks of impulse. There is a discipline, a quiet strength in being able to say to yourself, I feel this, but I do not need to act on it. That one sentence repeated and lived will save you years of regret, years of recovery, and years of wasted effort, because the world is full of people who are brilliant but broken by emotion, talented but torn apart by overreaction, capable but constantly correcting the damage caused by emotional And I say to you now, be different, be stronger, be still. The more you train your mind, the less permission you give to chaos. And when you stop giving permission, it starts to leave you alone. The people who seek to provoke you find no response, and so they grow silent. The world that once unsettled you becomes something you move through, not something you are moved by. That, my friend, is a quiet kind of power, and it is the most unshakable kind of all. This is not about pretending. It is not about suppressing. It is about processing. It is about sitting with your feelings long enough to understand them, but not so long that they start to define you. A man of wisdom does not deny his storm. He studies it. He watches its patterns. He learns when to anchor and when to set sail. You must do the same. You must know yourself so deeply that no passing emotion can take you by surprise. You were not born with a weak mind. You were simply born in a world that never taught you how to train it. But that ends now. From this moment forward, you commit to mastery, not perfection, but progress, not repression, but regulation, not silence from fear, but silence from strength. And in doing so, you step into your role, not as a victim of emotion, but as the architect of your emotional reality. Look around you. The world is full of noise, but your power is found in how much of that noise you allow into your soul. You cannot build a temple in an earthquake. You must first still the ground beneath your feet. That ground is your mind. And the tools are already within your grasp. They are your breath, your thoughts, your ability to pause, your ability to see beyond the surface. Use them daily, and soon, where others see storms, you will see structure. Where others see chaos, you will see clarity. This is the difference between those who move mountains and those who crumble under pebbles. The mountain mover knows the storm, feels the storm, but never becomes the storm. Train your mind, and you too will move mountains, not because the wind stops, but because you've learned how to walk through it without flinching. There is a strength in you, deeper than anything you've yet touched. Not loud, not boastful, not dramatic, but a quiet strength. Forged in every moment you chose silence over reaction, purpose over pride, composure over conflict. That strength is not built in applause. It is not built in easy days. It is built when no one is watching. It is shaped in the fire of restraint. It is carved by the chisel of patience. You become what you can endure, silently, faithfully, without needing the world to see your struggle. Many people believe that power is something external, money, titles, influence, but real power is internal. It is control, not control over others, but over the only kingdom you'll ever truly own, your own mind. The untrained mind is like a city with no walls. Anything can enter, anyone can throw a stone and shake it. But the trained mind, the disciplined spirit, is like a fortress, not because it is closed off, but because it knows exactly what to allow in and what to leave at the gate. You must learn to filter your mind as carefully as you filter your food, your water, your air. Would you drink poison just because it was handed to you? Then why consume toxic thoughts, angry words, or chaotic opinions as if they belong to you? They don't. They never did. Thoughts are not commands. Emotions are not dictators. You are the observer, the chooser, the one who decides which ideas to water and which to let wither. Consider this. Every time you respond to a provocation, you give away a piece of your day. And enough pieces given away leaves you with nothing but frustration and regret. Time is your greatest currency. Attention is your sharpest sword. Guard both. Spend neither on what does not serve your growth. People will try to pull you into battles that do not matter. Do not be baited. The most dangerous fights are not with fists, but with energy. And energy spent in the wrong direction is energy that never returns. And it in your life. In the quiet moments of life, the pauses between chaos, you must train your mind to ask the right questions. Not, why is this happening to me, but what can I learn from this? Not, how can I get even, but how can I rise above this with dignity? You do not win by proving others wrong. You win by proving yourself right. Right in purpose, right in intention, right in the way you carry your spirit when everything around you calls for chaos. And remember this truth. People will misunderstand your calm. They will call it weakness. They will say you are passive, indifferent, detached. Let them. Let them misunderstand your silence. You are not here to explain your peace. You are here to protect it. Let your growth confuse them. Let your self-mastery stand taller than their noise. You owe no one your chaos. You owe yourself your clarity, and clarity only comes to those who dare to be still. Most will never know this kind of strength because most will never pause long enough to develop it. The world runs fast. It rewards urgency, but urgency is the enemy of depth. It is the enemy of wisdom. Wisdom takes time. It grows in silence. It is built, not bought. And to build it, you must create space within yourself, a place the world cannot reach, a place only you can tend to. Tend to it like a sacred garden, and it will bloom with peace no matter the season. And so, my friend, if you want to rise, you must first learn to root. Root yourself in values, not moods, in vision, not vanity, in discipline, not impulse. The chaos will still come, that much is certain, but when it does, you will be ready, not because you fought it, but because you outgrew it. You no longer fit in the storm. You've become too calm, too clear, too focused to be pulled into its noise. In every moment of tension, there is a choice: explode or elevate. Choose elevation. In every disagreement, there is a test. Will you protect your energy or surrender it to ego? Protect it. And in every day, there is a lesson. Life is not about avoiding storms, but learning to dance beneath the lightning without losing your fire. Do that, and you will not just survive the chaos, you will rise above it, untouched, unbroken, and unbothered. Now, we must speak of creativity not as something reserved for artists or poets, but as a divine power within every human soul. Creativity is not limited to paint or poetry. It is the way you solve problems, the way you navigate hardship, the way you rebuild your life in the ruins of what you thought would never break. But hear me clearly, creativity does not flourish in noise. It does not bloom in the garden of panic. The seed of creativity can only sprout in the soil of stillness. When your mind is scattered, solutions flee. When your heart is heavy with the chaos of distraction, your vision becomes narrow. You can no longer see the path because your emotions have flooded the road. You must drain the chaos from your mind if you wish to see clearly. You must quiet the inner war if you hope to build peace on the outside. For only the calm mind can create. Only the still mind can construct what the chaotic world tries to tear down. And what does it mean to train a mind to be calm? It means you no longer rush into every thought. You do not assume every feeling is final. You pause, you reflect, you sit with it. You ask, is this thought leading me where I want to go? And if the answer is no, you discard it like a traveler who refuses to carry extra weight. You do not argue with it. You simply release it. You move forward lighter, freer, more capable of creating something meaningful. I tell you now, some of your greatest breakthroughs will come not through effort, but through surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of control over what was never yours to command in the first place. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot manipulate every moment, but you can always govern your inner world. And in doing so, you position yourself to hear the whisper of inspiration that only comes in silence. In silence, the answers arrive. In stillness, the path becomes clear. But the world hates stillness. It is addicted to movement. It screams that if you are not running, you are falling behind. But I say to you, the deepest roots grow in stillness. And the tallest trees are not the ones that rushed to grow, but the ones that grew steady, deeply grounded, refusing to be swayed by every gust of wind. You must decide, are you here to impress others with how fast you react, or to impress your future with how well you build? The builder does not panic when the storm begins. He has built something that can withstand it. You too must build yourself brick by brick. Habit by habit, thought by thought, and creativity will be your mortar. But it cannot hold if your mind is chaotic. Calm the storm first, then build. So many people are stuck not because they lack ideas, but because their minds are too noisy to hear them. They wait for inspiration, yet fill every corner of their day with distractions. They crave purpose, yet drown in comparison. But creativity is not a result of outer noise. It is the product of inner clarity. Clear the clutter, clear the tension, clear the need to prove, to chase, to impress. And then in that still space, let the ideas rise. And know this, your mind, when trained, becomes a vessel for extraordinary things. You do not have to force greatness. You only have to remove the noise that's been blocking it, remove the fear, remove the doubt, remove the urgency that says you must figure it all out right now. You don't. You only have to listen, and you can only listen when you are calm. That is why a trained mind is not just peaceful, it is powerful, because it can hear what others miss. It can see what others overlook. It can create what others were too distracted to imagine. Never forget, the most powerful minds in history were not the loudest, they were the clearest, and their clarity came not from being superior, but from being still. You have this power, not later, not when things settle, but right now. Begin today by choosing calm over chaos, and you will begin to hear the voice of your own genius, quiet, steady, and ready to rise. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they must make a choice that will echo through every part of their life, to let the world choose their emotional state or to take the reins and choose it for themselves. It is not a loud decision. It is not one made in public, but in private, in solitude, in silence. You do not need an audience to decide who you will be. You need only discipline. Because it is discipline, not motivation, not emotion, that will carry you through chaos. The disciplined mind is not perfect, but it is predictable. It does not allow the mood of the morning to dictate the outcome of the day. It does not surrender to every sudden shift of emotion. It wakes up and returns to its foundation, its values, its priorities, its inner compass. You must build this compass. Without it, you are lost in every storm, swayed by every voice, and burned by every voice that was never yours to touch. There is no peace without discipline. There is no clarity without commitment. If you wish to train your mind, you must begin by honoring the small promises you make to yourself. Wake when you say you will. Do what you commit to. Speak only what aligns with truth. These may seem small, but they are not. Every small discipline is a brick, and over time, those bricks form a wall, one that chaos cannot climb, one that distractions cannot penetrate. Too often we look for external motivation, forgetting that all motivation fades. It is like the morning mist, beautiful, but gone by noon. Discipline, however, is the sun that rises whether you feel like it or not. And when your mind is trained through discipline, you no longer chase feelings, you act despite them. You show up without applause. You keep your promise to yourself without waiting for comfort to arrive first. And so many people remain prisoners of their own inconsistency, not because they are weak, but because they have never learned to be intentional. They let life happen to them instead of happening through them. They move when the world says move. They stop when fear whispers doubt. But you must do it differently. You must reverse the flow. You must stop responding and start directing. You must move from reaction to creation. Discipline is the bridge between chaos and clarity. It is the slow, steady hand that writes a new story on the canvas of your life. And if you want to create something beautiful, if you want to build a life of peace, purpose, and power, you must show up to that canvas daily, regardless of what the world throws at you. You must say, this is who I am, this is what I choose, and no amount of noise will steer me from it. And I say to you, The greatest kind of strength is not the strength that lifts mountains, but the strength that lifts your mind back into alignment each day. The strength that says no to the distraction. The strength that says yes to the higher path, even when the lower one looks easier. Because every time you choose discipline, you cast a vote for the future you desire. And the future is always shaped by what you consistently choose in the present. Do not be discouraged if your discipline falters. That is the nature of training. It is not about perfection, but about return. When the mind wanders, bring it back. When the emotion flares, breathe it down. When the distraction tempts, remember your reason, and that reason must be strong enough to pull you through the moments when everything inside you wants to give up. That reason must be rooted in something bigger than your mood, bigger than your current situation. Because moods change, situations pass, but your vision, if you nurture it, will remain. And the trained mind protects that vision at all costs. It says no when others say yes. It slows down when the world speeds up. It creates space between the trigger and the reaction, and in that space, it writes a better outcome. A trained mind does not seek drama, it seeks direction. It does not chase approval, it seeks alignment. And it does not crumble when things fall apart. It rises to rebuild with greater clarity. So make the decision now, not once, but daily. You will not give your mind away. You will not hand your peace over to chaos. You will not be ruled by the emotion of the moment. You will be ruled by purpose, guided by truth, and strengthened through discipline. Because that is how real change happens, not in a flash of inspiration, but in the quiet, repeated decision to build a life that chaos cannot reach. There is a sacred space inside every man and woman, a place untouched by the noise of the world. Most never find it because they are always chasing answers outside of themselves. But you must go within. You must become the eye of your own storm, for in the center of the cyclone, there is always stillness, and in that stillness, you will discover not just peace, but power. The world teaches us to chase, to react, to defend, to attack. It tells us to be quick, loud, decisive at all costs, but there is a deeper wisdom, the kind that does not shout, but whispers. It says, slow down. Breathe. Listen. Let the world spin while you remain still. Let the noise rise while you listen only to your own inner voice. That stillness is not indifference, it is maturity. It is not apathy, it is awareness. It is knowing that not every war is yours to fight, and not every battle deserves your presence. To become the eye of the storm is not to escape the world, it is to remain unmoved within it. While others panic, you prepare. While others react, you reflect. While others lash out, you look inward. And in doing so, you begin to embody calm, not just for yourself, but for others. You become the anchor in the drifting sea. You become the lighthouse, not shaken by the crashing waves, but guiding through them. People will feel your calm before they hear your words. Your energy will arrive before you speak. The trained mind radiates presence. It radiates security. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't need to win arguments or dominate conversations. It simply is. And that kind of presence, the kind that holds its ground without resistance, is the kind that changes everything around it. That kind of mind commands respect, not through volume, but through vibration. But to reach this level of presence, you must let go of what weighs you down. You must release the habits of emotional reactivity. You must stop answering every call for conflict. You must stop treating your inner world like a battlefield and start tending to it like a sanctuary. Your thoughts are seeds. If you plant fear, chaos grows. If you plant peace, wisdom grows. You cannot grow both at the same time. Choose carefully. Let me say something to you that you must never forget. There will always be someone trying to throw you off balance. That is the nature of the world. But you decide if they succeed. You decide if they gain entrance. No one can access your peace unless you leave the door open. And every time you engage in drama, in negativity, in petty conflict, you are opening the door and handing your peace away like a gift. Close the door. Not from fear, but from honor. You are honoring your mind. You are honoring your purpose. You are saying to the world, my peace is not available for trade. My calm is not for sale. My inner world is not an open market where anyone can place their problems. You must set that standard and enforce it daily, not through harshness, but through consistency. People learn how to treat your energy based on how you treat it yourself. This is the essence of self-leadership. You do not need a position to lead. You need discipline. You need clarity. You need the courage to walk a different path, to stand still while others run, to remain silent while others scream, to carry peace like a shield and let it guide you through the chaos without losing your center. And I say to you, the more you become the eye of the storm, the more storms will pass without shaking you. Because the storm is no longer in control, you are. And once you learn that your reaction is your responsibility, you will never again hand your power to the world. It is a powerful moment when you realize that true leadership begins the day you stop reacting. Leadership is not about commanding others. It is about commanding yourself. When your emotions no longer dictate your responses, when your peace no longer depends on what others do or say, then and only then are you truly in charge of your life. Most people wait for authority to be handed to them, but a trained mind seizes it, not from others, but from within. Your reaction is the first signal of your emotional maturity. Every time someone tries to provoke you and fails, you strengthen the wall around your peace. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you deepen the roots of your presence. There is no applause for this. There is no medal for the battle you fight within. But if you win it, you win the right to lead, not just others, but yourself, into a future of intention and clarity. Most of the world is living in reaction. They bounce from crisis to crisis, emotion to emotion, never pausing to ask, is this how I want to live? But you are different. You are here not to react, but to respond. Not to mirror the noise, but to bring silence into rooms that have forgotten what it feels like. That is leadership in its highest form. It's not about control, it's about influence. And influence flows not from fear, but from stability. And when you stop reacting, people will notice. They may not understand it. They may try harder to trigger you, to shake you, to break through your peace. Let them try. That is the test. They are only revealing their own weakness, not yours. For every moment you remain centered, you are showing the world something it rarely sees. A person who leads without needing to dominate, who rises without needing to shout, who commands attention not through power, but through presence. This kind of presence is earned. You earn it by staying grounded when the world trembles. You earn it by listening more than speaking. You earn it by mastering your energy before trying to manage anyone else's. Because no one can follow someone who hasn't learned to follow themselves. And the first step in leading yourself is learning to pause. That pause, that sacred breath between impulse and decision, is where the whole world can change. In that pause, you ask yourself, is this reaction a reflection of who I want to be? And if the answer is no, you choose differently. That choice, repeated daily, builds your future. And it builds something else, respect. People may fear a loud leader, but they respect a calm one. People may follow a storm, but they build with those who bring peace. The leader who cannot control their mind becomes a danger to every structure they touch, but the one who has trained the mind becomes a builder of legacies. You do not train your mind to rise above people, you train it to rise above your former self. You are not in competition with the noisy world, you are in refinement, in evolution, in daily practice of becoming something quieter, deeper, and more immovable. That is the real pursuit, not fame, not wealth, not dominance, but self-command. For when you master yourself, you master everything you touch. And let me tell you something eternal. The calmest mind in the room is always the most powerful. Not because it controls others, but because it controls itself. Not because it avoids conflict, but because it chooses when and how to engage. Not because it needs approval, but because it has built its own approval from within. You can start now. You can choose right now not to respond to every trigger. You can choose to lead, not from reaction, but from stillness. You can be the one who ends the cycle of emotional chaos in your environment, and when you do, you will no longer chase peace, you will become it. And when you become peace, there is nothing left to prove. There is only presence. There is only purpose. If I could impress just one truth upon your soul, it would be this: your mind is sacred ground. It is the soil where every idea, every belief, every decision takes root. If you do not protect that ground, weeds will grow, not because you are weak, not because you are unworthy, but simply because the world is full of seeds. Seeds of fear, seeds of anger, seeds of distraction, and if your mind is unguarded, those seeds will find their way in. You must begin to see your mind as the last clean space on earth. A place so valuable, so rare, so powerful that it cannot be open to every traveler, every headline, every whisper of negativity. If your mind is the temple, then your attention is the gate, and not everything deserves to pass through that gate. You decide. You control the flow. You hold the key. There are people, ideas, and energies that will try to occupy space in your mind rent-free. They will live there, argue there, and build resentment there without your permission. That is the danger of an untrained mind. It does not know the difference between what it created and what it absorbed. The trained mind, however, is different. It examines every thought like a customs officer. Do you belong here? Are you aligned with my vision? Will you contribute to the peace I am building? And if the answer is no, it is turned away without apology. You cannot control what the world throws at you, but you can absolutely control what you entertain. And entertainment is not just what you watch or listen to, it's what you dwell on, what you repeat, what you rehearse in your thoughts. Worry is entertainment for fear. Resentment is entertainment for ego. Drama is entertainment for insecurity. What you entertain, you empower. And what you empower, you eventually become. The world will offer you chaos dressed as urgency. It will say, look at this, respond now, feel something, react fast. But you must see through it. You must become the quiet observer who says, I see you, but I do not need to follow you. That single moment of awareness is what separates the peaceful from the panicked. You are not here to chase every emotion. You are here to choose them. And this choice, though it sounds simple, is the highest form of self-respect. When you protect your mind, you protect your future. You protect the relationships you haven't built yet, the opportunities that haven't found you yet, the clarity that hasn't arrived yet. All of that waits on the other side of mental discipline. Without it, everything becomes noise. With it, everything becomes signal. You start hearing what matters and ignoring what doesn't. Understand this, not every thought that enters your mind is yours. Not every emotion is a message. Sometimes they are just echoes of your environment. And your job is not to wrestle with every one of them. It is to rise above, to observe, and to return to your center. That center is peace. That center is power. That center is the trained mind. And so treat your mind like sacred land. Speak to it with intention. Feed it with truth. Clean it often. Do not allow others to leave their trash inside of it. You are the guardian, you are the gatekeeper, and your peace depends on your vigilance. The day you begin to take your mind seriously is the day the world loses its grip on you. You stop being a puppet. You stop being a passenger. You start driving your own thoughts. You start choosing your emotional state. And eventually, you start living a life that reflects the strength of your inner world, not the chaos of the outer one. My friend, this journey has never been about avoiding chaos. It has always been about transforming through it. The storms of life were never your enemy. They were your invitation to awaken, to strengthen, to discipline your mind into something that cannot be bent by noise nor broken by fear. And when you train your mind to ignore chaos, you do not escape the world, you rise above it. You are not here to be perfect, you are here to be prepared. You are not here to react, you are here to respond with purpose. This is the foundation of all mastery. The calm mind sees the fire and does not flinch. The calm mind hears the noise and does not echo it. The calm mind feels the tension but chooses clarity. That is the mind that leads nations, builds visions, and carves peace out of pressure. But understand this truth. Clarity does not come overnight. It is not a gift. It is a reward for showing up daily to the practice of peace, for choosing stillness when reaction feels more satisfying, for choosing silence when anger knocks at the door. Every choice you make in those moments is a stroke on the canvas of your legacy. And if you keep choosing well, over time, your legacy will become unshakable. You will become the person others look to in panic, not because you have all the answers, but because you have trained your mind to stay grounded when theirs is drifting. You will become the one who speaks less but says more, who moves slower but with intention, who responds with grace even when provoked. And when that becomes your norm, you will realize something profound. Peace is not the absence of problems, it is the absence of surrender to them. That is the legacy of a trained mind. It is not built in trophies or titles. It is not carved in stone, but in spirit. It is the energy you bring into every room. It is the way people feel safer, stronger, calmer just by being around you. And it is the quiet knowledge you carry, knowing that no matter what the world throws your way, your mind is your own, and it bows only to you. There is great freedom in that realization. Freedom from comparison, freedom from outrage, freedom from needing to be right. You become untouchable, not in arrogance, but in serenity. The world may swirl around you, but you are anchored. Others may fall to panic, but you will remain standing, not because you're superior, but because you prepared. You did the quiet work. You trained when no one was watching. And so I ask you now, as you stand at the edge of a new chapter, what will you allow to rule your mind from this day forward? Will it be the chaos that seeks your attention, or the clarity that waits in stillness? Will it be reaction, or will it be reason? Will it be the moment, or the mission? Let your answer come not in words, but in actions. Let your peace be your response. Let your restraint be your power. Let your presence be your influence. For the world does not need more noise, it needs more calm. And the only way to build that calm is to become it. You are not finished, you are just beginning. And with every quiet breath, every centered thought, every disciplined moment, you are becoming unstoppable. Not by force, not by control, but by the undeniable gravity of a mind that has learned to ignore chaos and live in peace. This is your time. This is your power. This is your legacy. Train your mind, and the world will follow your silence.